it's me, Mike, with HPDS. This video will be a reading and study of Exodus chapter 32. Exodus 32. And as usual, before I get started, I will read the Lord's Prayer. And it reads, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. So, of course, Exodus, if you keep reading if you watch the past videos, you'll know that obviously this is the chapter in which God has taken the children of Israel out of Egypt, and he has become their God, and he has shown them a lot of miracles so far, and we've seen the 10 plagues, we've seen them out in the wilderness, and we've seen them now at Mount Sinai for well over 10 chapters now, the past 10 chapters. And if you remember the last few chapters, God has actually been telling them their work. So when they went up to the Mount Sinai, God descended on the mountain, and it was very terrifying for the people. They saw fire all over the mountain. They knew it was earthquaking. There was lightning and thunder. There was a dark cloud. It was a very terrifying storm. And they were all able to hear the voice of God as he spoke to Moses. And so it was a very terrifying event. And when he was up there, he gave them commandments. He gave them judgments. And then he began to tell them the works that they would begin to do. And so in this particular, the past few chapters, since around chapter 25, God has been telling them how they would be building the tabernacle of the Lord. And the last chapter, Exodus 31, we came across the actual workmen that were chosen. There was 2 guys called by name, and of course they were told that they would be completing all the works. And of course there's the entire tabernacle. There's all the curtains on it. There's all the gold. There's all the boards. There's the furnitures on the insides and on the outsides as well. And of course, the priests had the garments and the ephod and so forth. So there's a lot of work that was going to be going on. And the last chapter kind of finally pulled some guys out, some men by name, and they were gonna be responsible for completing the works and for teaching the people how to do everything. And of course, they were still told that they were going to keep the Sabbath holy, because they have to keep the Sabbath holy, while they do all their works. And of course, the last chapter, chapter 31, did come across a couple of stone tablets, couple of stone tables that Moses had, that God had written this covenant on, this testimony and so forth. And he was coming down. This is basically at the end of the 40 days, and they're now chapter 32. Let me go ahead and get into this. Exodus 32 is the golden calf. So this chapter is also very famous. This chapter, what has happened as soon as God has given Moses these commandments and so forth, the people make a golden calf. And so they're going to do something very horrible. They're going to sin against God. And this is idolatry. And so what we're going to look for in this chapter is verses 1 through 6. We're going to read about Israel's golden calf. And in verses 7 through 10, we're going to come across God's wrath against Israel. 11 to 14, we're going to see that Moses intercedes for the people. And then in 15 through 19, we're going to see that the stone tables are actually broken by Moses. And verse 20, the golden calf is destroyed. Verses 21 through 24, we're going to see that Moses confronts Aaron. And in verses 25 through 29, we're going to see that these idolaters are going to be slain by the sons of Levi. And so verses 30 through 35 to end out the chapter, Moses once again pleads for Israel after they've committed this sin. So, like I said, it's something very terrible. They're gonna commit idolatry. Some of the children are gonna commit idolatry. They're gonna have to die for this sin. And of course, Moses does a lot of pleading with God to, kind of apologizing for the people and asking for forgiveness and so forth. So that's what we're looking for in Exodus 32. And of course, what I will do is I will read the chapter, and then I'll read it straight through, and then afterwards I'll go through and I'll read it line by line, verse by verse, and we will, with the help of the Holy Spirit, kind of come to an understanding of what's going on here to get some clarity, because this chapter is another very important chapter. It tells a lot, and I'll go over a lot, and I'll even bring up some translation issues between various translations, and this is another reason why, if you watch through some of my other videos, you'll see that I make mention of why I go through the King James version. And I do read other versions, especially I've been reading the NLT version on some of the past few videos, on many videos, and but this is a perfect example, and this chapter will be a perfect example of why the King James version is the preferred version over some of these other more popular translations, because there's something kind of going on in those translations, and I'll talk about it in this chapter. But of course, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and get straight into it, and I will read Exodus 32. And let me make sure I got this set up properly. All right, and it reads, "And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron, and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them unto me. And all the people brake off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graving tool. After he had made it a molten calf, and they said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made proclamation and said, Tomorrow is a feast to the Lord. And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and drink, and rose up to play. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go, get thee down, for thy people which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf, and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto, and said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now, therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I will make of thee a great nation. And Moses besought the Lord his God, and said, Lord, why doth thy wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out of the land of Egypt with great power, and with a mighty hand? Wherefore should the Egyptians speak and say, For mischief did he bring them out, to slay them in the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from thy fierce wrath, and repent of this evil against thy people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servant, to whom thou swarest by thine own self, and saidst unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of will I give unto your seed, that they shall inherit it forever. And the Lord repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people. And Moses turned and went down from the mount, and the 2 tables of the testimony were in his hand. The tables were written on both their sides. On the one side and on the other were they written. And the tables were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God, graven upon the tables. And when Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said unto Moses, There is a noise of war in the camp. And he said, It is not the voice of them that shout for mastery, neither is it the voice of them that cry for being overcome, but the noise of them that sing do I hear. And it came to pass, as soon as he came nigh unto the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moses' anger waxed hot, and he cast the tables out of his hand, and brake them beneath the mount. And he took the calf which they had made, and burnt it in the fire, and ground it to powder, and strawed it upon the water, and made the children of Israel drink of it. And Moses said unto Aaron, What did this people unto thee, that thou hast brought so great a sin upon them? And Aaron said, Let not the anger of my Lord wax hot. Thou knowest the people, that they are set on mischief. For they said unto me, Make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And I said unto them, Whosoever hath any gold, let them break it off. So they gave it me. Then I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf. And when Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies, then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, Who is on the Lord's side? Let him come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him. And he said unto them, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, Put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moses. And there fell of the people that day about 3,000 men. For Moses had said, Consecrate yourselves today to the Lord, even every man upon his son and upon his brother, that he may bestow upon you a blessing this day. And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses said unto the people, Ye have sinned a great sin, and now I will go up unto the Lord. Peradventure I shall make an atonement for your sin. And Moses returned unto the Lord and said, O this people have sinned a great sin, and have made them gods of gold. Yet now, if thou wilt forgive their sin, and if not, blot me, I pray thee, out of thy book which thou hast written. And the Lord said unto Moses, Whosoever hath sinned against me, him will I blot out of my book. Therefore now go, lead the people unto the place of which I have spoken unto thee. Behold, mine angel shall go before thee. Nevertheless, in the day when I will visit their sin upon them. And the Lord plagued the people because they made the calf which Aaron made. So again, that is Exodus chapter 32. Let's see if I can, there it goes. That is Exodus chapter 2. Trying to get this green screen back to where it should be. Apparently lighting has been changed. Anyway, that was Exodus chapter 32 in its entirety. And again, what did we just read through? We read through the golden calf, the God's wrath against Israel. Moses had to intercede for the people after they come across this, after they made this calf. And, when Moses was coming down, he came across, he hears about all this and he sees it. So he breaks the tables, the 2 stone tables. And then, of course, he destroys the golden calf. And then he confronts Moses about the whole situation. And then after this, some of the sons of Levi's go through the camp and slay a bunch of these people, the idolaters. And then, of course, at the end of the chapter, Moses pleads for Israel to God. So that's what this chapter is all about. And so what I will go ahead and do is I will read through this chapter again, and I'll read it line by line, and we'll see this time, I'll explain more in depth, with the help of the Holy Spirit. We'll see what's going on here in more detail, and we could get a clearer picture of what's going on here. So let me go ahead and get that set up. All right, and here we are again. So, and when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people so these people are kind of down at the bottom of the base of the mountain, and they're all gathered themselves up to Aaron, and they tell him to make us gods which shall go before us. As for this Moses, we don't know what happened to him. That's what it says. Out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what has become of him. So these people are the people that are some of the furthest away from this mountain, it seems like. They were waiting for Moses, and they apparently are impatient people. And they were looking instead of listening. Remember, God is speaking to Moses, and these people should be able to they should be able to hear to him if they're close enough to the mountain. If they're, like the elders would have been listening to him, even though they were all speaking to God, they should have been able to hear this whole time. That was kind of the whole deal. So these people were not paying attention to God's words. Remember, and they're going to prove that throughout this chapter, because they're not going to do anything that God has just been telling all these people in the past few chapters what not to do, especially back in chapter 21, chapter 20, 21, 22, when he was giving them those judgments. And these people should have been listening, and they should have known not to make these idols, but they do it anyway. And so they complain, though, and they apparently complain to Aaron, and they say, hey, we don't know what's going on here, so make us some gods, and they'll go before us. So for some reason, Aaron goes along with this. And Aaron said unto them, break off the golden earrings, which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them unto me. So this is, for some reason, Aaron goes ahead with it. And he, this is some sort of, obviously, foolishness on his part. There's some foolishness going on his part for whatever reason, and it's not really clear yet. So these must have been some sort of influences that he had coming out of Egypt, along that Pharaoh must have taught them somewhere along the way. And all the people break off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. And also, if you notice, these are not the people that were skilled in labors of any kind. So the last chapter we came across, what was his name? Bezalel or something? Bezalel? I forget what his name is, obviously. The last chapter, and the person that came to him was Aholiab. Something along those names. I don't really see it, and I won't bring it up, but that was the last chapter. Those guys were really experienced, or they were filled with wisdom. But these people, if you remember, these are, people that are standing far off from the camp, apparently. They aren't listening. They're not really paying attention to what's going on up there with Moses. They've got earrings, which this is a sign that these are the servant class, because if you remember, going back to Exodus chapter 21, it was in Exodus chapter 21, we were given laws about how to handle the servants. And so, you know what, let me find it and see what I can find. Exodus 21, laws regarding the servants. So it's going to be pretty early on. So let me go ahead and take a look real quick. Exodus 21. And if the master shall plainly say, I love my master, and I will not go out free. What does he say? He will bring him unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. So these guys with earrings and these women and children with earrings, appear to be like they are they're the servants. So that's probably why they're far off. They seem to be like they're kind of far off from the group. They're kind of bored. They don't know what's going on. And they just tell Aaron, hey, make us some gods and we'll get out of here. So Aaron seems to be thinking like, all right, I guess you guys are out. We're going to stay up here with God, but you guys, y'all want a God to serve? All right, cool. Give me your earrings. And you guys are no longer servants of your, since that's what God, he seemed to be getting this idea that you guys are no longer servants. We were freed from Egypt. So I guess we'll go ahead and free you guys too. Get off your earrings and I'll make it into a God. And that's your new God. And you won't be people of Israel anymore, is what it seems to be what's going on here. So they break off their earrings. They give them to Aaron. And he received them at their hand and fashioned it with the graving tool after he had made it a molten calf. And they said, these be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. So then he goes ahead and he just gives them like this fake nonsense. And he should know that this is fake nonsense. This is Aaron. So Aaron is, apparently something's going on with Aaron. He's acting kind of strange. And Aaron should have been listening too. So what's going on when Moses is up there on this mountain? He's speaking, and Joshua is really close by, and then so are all those elders. They should be close by. And remember when Moses went up the mountain, he told them, "Hey, everybody, you guys are in charge, and if anything goes on, bring it up with Aaron." So that's what's going on. These guys were these servants kind of far off were getting anxious, and so they kind of complained to Aaron. Aaron kind of came down here, checked out what was going on, said, all right, I guess we'll free you guys, give me your earrings. And he made this calf, and he says later on that it just kind of came out. So why did he make the calf? What did he do? It's gonna be, he's definitely something strange is going on, like something weird. And they said, these be thy gods, O Israel. So he said, all right, here's your calf. This is your God. This is the God that brought you out of Egypt. And he said, now, that's what it is. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made proclamation and said, tomorrow is a feast to the Lord. So here he is taking his initiative to go ahead and say, hey, all right, now we're going to go ahead. I'm a priest, we got the real God up there on that mountain talking to Moses, telling us not to do this kind of stuff. But you know what? I'm acting like I know what I'm doing because I'm a priest. And he says, go ahead, and I built this molten calf for you. I made it look nice, and tomorrow we're gonna have a feast to the Lord. All right, everybody's having a good time, it sounds like. And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings, and the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. So like I said, these people were having a good time. They were up was God. God was up on that mountain talking to Moses, telling them what they, what kind of work they should be doing and all their laws and so forth. And they should have all been listening, but instead they were getting bored and they were kind of sitting in the back, hanging out in the back, farthest away, it seems like. And they were just having a good time, it looks like. And the Lord said unto Moses, go get thee down, for thy people, which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt, have corrupted themselves. So right away, God is seeing what's going on. So verses 1 through 6, if you remember, 1 through 6 is the golden calf. So that was the golden calf right there. Now verses 7 to 10, we're going to come across God's wrath. So obviously God is going to have some wrath now. And I apologize about this green screen going off in the back of me. But anyway, so verses 7 through 10, the Lord is gonna, we're gonna see his wrath. So he's gonna get really mad at them, and sure enough, he tells Moses, "Hey, go go down there. The people, they're already corrupting themselves." So he's up there. And they have turned aside quickly out of the way which I have commanded them. They have made them a molten calf and have worshipped it and have sacrificed thereunto. and said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. So he's saying, I just told you guys not to do this, and they've already done it. It's been 40 days, and that's all it's taken. And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them. And I will make of thee a great nation. So he was already going ahead and say, let me just go ahead and kill everybody, Moses. And from you, Moses, I will make a great nation. So this one little act, and it's like I said, these people should be listening to God. They should be probably closer, and they should be understanding that they, with their earrings in their ears, had committed themselves to be servants for life, forever. Remember when we get to that Exodus 21, I mean, they were, he even told them, your wives of your sons and of your daughters. So that's what he was telling the servants right there. Hey, take all these earrings that, prove that you're a servant for life. And so he was already, rebelling. Those people should have known that they'd committed themselves to life. And here they are casting off their symbol of their servitude that they had committed themselves to. They loved their master. So why are they now finding a different God than their masters? So these people were probably servants of these guys that we kind of read about in the last chapter 31, those guys that were highly skilled laborers, all the people that were wise, that were actually making the tabernacle. Those were people that we know in today's society, they would probably been, the more wealthier people, the people that had a little bit more money, better, well off, the upper middle class, the high, and of course the elders and so forth. But then these people seem to be the lower class, the servants. These people didn't have anything. They probably weren't very skilled in anything more than laboring for their masters. And so, of course, that's why they weren't really paying attention. They didn't feel themselves too like they needed to be in the need to know with the rest of their masters, because that seems to be kind of like the mentality they must have had. They were, we're not really paying attention. We don't need to pay attention. That's more for the upper, the people at the top, and we're just servants. We've just been following them the whole time, and so forth. So, but anyway, there's a lot to it, and so God was going to destroy them because they were stiff-necked. They didn't know what was going on. They were doing whatever they wanted to do. They weren't in league with their Lord. They weren't all paying attention. They were rebelling against their masters. The priest himself was foolish enough to let them and to sanction it. Is a lot going on here in this chapter. Either way, God tells Moses right off the bat, as soon as it happens, he's telling them. And he tells them, I'm going to destroy them. And let me just make you a great nation. So getting onto it, verses 11 through 14, that's where we see that Moses has to intercede for the people. Moses intercedes for the people. So, and Moses besought the Lord his God and said, Lord, why doth thy wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? So he's telling them, why don't get so mad. Why are you so mad? So he's really trying to calm him down. He goes, you did this. You're the one that brought us out of Egypt. You did that with them. Wherefore should the Egyptians speak and say, for mischief did he bring them out, to slay them in the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from thy fierce wrath and repent of this evil against thy people. So he's really telling, he's begging, like, please don't destroy the people. Why would you, and he's asking, if you destroy us, then the Egyptians will just say that, you're a bad God. You're dangerous. You're a scary God because all you did was bring us out to kill us. You just brought us out of Egypt where everybody was comfortable. Remember, everybody was complaining and grumbling back in earlier chapters after they got out of Egypt while they were in the wilderness. A lot of these people of Israel were grumbling about all, why did you bring us out of Egypt and so forth. They were really comfortable in Egypt. but they weren't so comfortable out here in the wilderness and doing all this stuff for God. So now, Moses is really asking, really begging God, like, don't do it for your own sake, that you don't look like an evil God. And then he's also telling them, he's even bringing up the covenants with them. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou swearest by thine own self, and saidst unto him, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of will I give unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. So he's even going back to saying that this isn't even about me, as Moses got, Moses is saying it's not even about me. Remember Isaac, these are all children of Abraham, Isaac and Israel. These are all their seeds and so forth. This is what Moses is to. So he really pleads with God, and so of course, and the Lord repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people. So it's really saying something that God listens to his chosen people. Like, he was really going to destroy everybody. And so Moses could have been like, yeah, go ahead. I don't care. I guess whatever you want to do, God, but he said, no, please don't do that. I don't want to see that. Please do, save them. And so God listened to him and he said, all right, we'll do it. We'll do it like that then. And so Moses turned. And so we go on further past that. You're going to see these stone tables are going to be broken by Moses. So, and Moses turned and went down from the mount, and the two tables of the testimony were in his hand. And the tables were written on both their sides, on the one side and on the other were they written. And so, like I said, I made mention of these that, they call them the 10 Commandments, and we're going to finally come across where it actually calls them the 10 Commandments in a couple of chapters now. But until then, it hasn't really mentioned it. And like I said, back in chapter 20, it kind of mentioned more than 10 Commandments. And so I really am getting the feeling that when we get to these 10 Commandments in the law and how they're written, and God is really making it to where you really got to study the law. Like, you have to really, because these 10 Commandments are like multifaceted. There's more, like I said that there's some like 17 or 18 is what I read in chapter 21. But here he's going to break these tables. So whatever they had been, God is going to, like I said, he's finally going to call them the 10 Commandments in a few chapters, but he hasn't done it just yet. And that, like I said, it has something to do with what's going on here, because when he's going down, he's finally going down. So after he pleads with God about this, he goes down with these two tables, and they're saying, they're written, these two tables, and the tables were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God graven upon the table. So this is something interesting. God himself wrote on these tables. And so when they're going down, here's Joshua right away. Remember, Joshua's probably the closest, Joshua and his group of men, and so forth. And when Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said unto Moses, there's a noise of war in the camp. So Joshua was, once Moses caught up with Joshua and them started going down, and Joshua hears, like, what's going on? There's something's going on. It sounds like there's a war. And he said, but it's not the voice of them and he said, it is not the voice of them that shout for mastery, neither is it the voice of them that cry for being. So he's like, I don't get it. They're not, it sounds like a war, but it doesn't sound like people that are winning the war or that are losing the war, but it sounds like they're singing. But the noise of them that sing do I hear. It sounds like a war, but it actually sounds like they're singing is what he's kind of saying. So as he's coming down, he thinks it's a war, but then he realizes it actually sounds like they're singing. And it came to pass, as soon as he came nigh unto the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moses' anger waxed hot, and he cast the tables out of his hands, and brake them beneath the mount. So right here, Moses sees it for himself. And when he sees it, he gets mad, just as mad as God was. So God was mad, and Moses had to calm down God. And now Moses comes down, and he's so mad, he breaks these tables. He casts, and they break beneath. He broke these two. These were written by God. If anything was holy that these people ever came across, though, that was probably the most holy thing. It was written in the hand of God. So these people, here he is, he's so mad he breaks their most holy relic that he has. Um, that's how mad he is. Just how mad God was. God was willing to destroy these people. And Moses actually went ahead and just destroyed this piece of the covenant, this testimony. So perhaps the most important thing in the world at that moment would have been these two stones. Literally, it would have been the most important thing in the world at that moment. And he just breaks it. So he was mad. And he took the calf which they had made and burnt it in the fire and ground it to powder and strawed it upon the water and made the children of Israel drink of it. So, of course, he's so mad. He gets this calf. He breaks it. It's made out of gold. So if you know how to work with gold, you know what they're talking about. He kind of just ground it to a powder. So that means he moltened it and put a whole bunch of junk in it and kind of, ground it to powder. And then he put it in the water, and the children of Israel drank of it. So I don't really know what that would taste like, gold-laced water. But I do know that they do make like gold-laced alcohol. I've come across that. That's a very popular brand, if you know what I mean. There's a gold-flavored liquor that you can buy in most stores. Well, not gold-flavored, but there's liquor that has little pieces of gold in it. And it's a drink, but you can drink it. So I don't remember what it tastes like, and I know I've drank it at least once or twice in my life, but I don't know. Maybe it tastes bitter or something. But the people drank of it, and it was some sort of a punishment. And Moses said unto Aaron, what did this people unto thee that thou hast brought so great a sin? So now he, in verse 20, he destroys it. And then in verses 21 through 24, we're going to see that he confronts Moses. Moses confronts Aaron about this. So now he's wondering, wait a minute. Now that they've done it, he says, what happened here? Why? And he says, what did they do to you? Because he knows that this is such a terrible thing that they've done, that he's saying, Aaron, you did this to these people. Why? What did they do to you that you made these people sin so bad? So he's really confronting Aaron about, because he's saying, Aaron, this is your fault. And he's saying, what did these people do to you that you would bring such a horrible thing upon them? And Aaron is, like I said, Aaron is still confused. Aaron doesn't know, and he doesn't understand why this is a bad thing. So he should have been listening too, and he was being told about the idolatry. So either he wasn't really paying attention while Moses was up there, or something was going on. Or he really didn't think it was that big of a deal for whatever reason. He just thought, hey, whatever, I'm just making them a calf, and they're going to go do whatever. They're going to have a party around this calf or something. Like I said, Aaron is confused. He doesn't know what's going on. And so now he is trying to calm Moses down. So now we had Moses calm God down. Now we have Aaron trying to calm Moses down. And Aaron said, let not the anger of my Lord wax hot. Thou knowest the people, that they are set on mischief. So he's saying, these people, they're going to do bad things. For they said unto me, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And I'm going to, just out of curiosity to kind of, I don't know, just maybe slow these things. It tells me some video game. So I'm going to go ahead and what definition. It's a pronoun. It's basically, it means it's a non-standard spelling of what. So we don't know what has become of him, basically. So obviously that's what it said, but I just wanted to see what that word meant and why they decided they need to throw that in. But I don't really understand it too well for that particular word. But anyway, that's what he's saying. They're saying these people, Aaron is saying, these people, they are set on mischief. He goes, and they told me to do this. They told me to make us gods, and these gods will lead us. And Moses, we don't even know what happened to him anymore. These people were so, they've been through this now for a few months now. out of Egypt, and they've seen all these great miracles, and they've known that Moses was the person that God was speaking to perform these miracles and so forth. But at this point they were already bored of him. It seems like they were tired of him. They wanted to move out. They wanted to get out of this desert, out of this wilderness, away from this mountain. They wanted to go do something. Apparently, they were bored. That's what it was. And it seemed to Aaron. Aaron was a little bit afraid that they would do something to him if he didn't comply. Is what it's kind of making it sound like. Now he's saying, well, they told me to do it, and they told me to make them God, and that they didn't know what happened with you, and they were tired of waiting. And I told them, so okay, well then I told them, get anybody who has that gold, let them break it off. So they gave it to me, and I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf. So now he's getting into, well, now I told him, give me your gold. These are the people that are the servants. They gave me their gold so they could molt this, so I could do what they were asking me to do. And now he's saying, here's some more weird things that, like I said, he goes out, and there came out this calf. So he's kind of even saying that he didn't have any control over it when he did it. He goes, just came out this calf. And that's just all that happened. And then the next thing, and I kind of want to bring this out right here, because this is a phrase, this verse is something that I find. And when Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies. So he saw that these people were naked. So now there's even something more strange. So all these people were partying is what was going on. They were having a good time. They were considering themselves like they were breaking off their gold, taking out their earrings. So they were saying, we're done with Moses. We're getting out of here. We're gonna do what we feel like doing. These thoughts that come out of nowhere, because even Aaron is saying, just this calf came out of nowhere. I didn't, they gave me this gold. I didn't really have a plan for it, and I just carved it when they gave, after all this gold. That's just what happened. That's what I thought to make, was this calf. And so that's, so this is really getting to where now we're getting into kind of the concept of, why are these people sinning, and where is this sin coming from? And like this is this is like philosophical. Why do people do bad things? Why do people have an idea and then act on that idea? And this is what's going on here, because these people are just having an idea. They just act on it. They were bored. They were ready to leave Moses behind and go do whatever they felt like doing. And what they felt like doing was apparently getting naked. Moses saw that the people were naked, and they were having a feast, remember? And Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies. So obviously what's going on is, if you know anything about how this kind of civilization would have lived, they would have been being watched the entire time. All kinds of spies would have been kind of close by, standing on, and they would have been watching, and all these people. And that's why, a few chapters back, way back before chapter 20, it was something like 15 or 16, I'm not really sure, but when there was a battle that they fought. They fought a battle with the Amalekites. Let's see, this was back in chapter 17. They had the battle with Amalek. Yeah, it was in Exodus 17. They had a battle with the Amalek. And, and of course after that, Jethro came by, and Jethro brought some people. And so ultimately, the Egyptians would have been watching too. The Egyptians would have sent some spies to check out on these. And so these people, even though they may not have been with the main group of the children of Israel, they would have been watching from a distance, kind of seeing what's going on. And they would have apparently, Moses is seeing that these people were apparently far off away from the main group of where Moses had been, that they were obviously being spied upon, and these people were naked, partying around this golden calf, and their enemies, just, people that were watching from a distance, they were seeing all this happen, and Moses knew this. So Moses, he's seen that, and when he saw that, then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, who is on the Lord's side? So he's saying that when he saw this nudity And this nudity is really important. And like I said, this is why the King James Version is important, because King James Version is actually mentioning the nudity. And I'm going to go ahead, and this is the Exodus 32. This is the NIV, which is a really popular version, the New International Version. And when you read it in verse 25, it says, Moses saw that the people were running wild, and that Aaron had let them get out of control and so become a laughing stock to their enemies. So it tells you, obviously, these people were being spied on this whole time. So obviously the spies are watching, and they see what's going on. They see, hey, something strange is going up on that mountain. Something very strange, and they're all huddled around the mountain, kind of. But here's this little group of this fringe group, kind of out the outskirts or whatever, and they're doing something. Look at them; they're all naked and probably drunk, and worshiping this golden calf, and so they would have been laughing. So there's something about it that they were all naked, doing who knows what. Obviously, they were doing something wicked. Who knows what it could have been. And we see this kind of behavior reflected much later on, in even popular modern depictions of paganism. These pagans that would get, they'd worship some sort of animal, and they'd all have a party and get drunk or get, inebriated on some sort of drugs. And they'd have a lot of sex. There'd be a lot of sex around, And so that seems to be honestly what is going on here. But the NIV does not mention that. It just says they're running wild. It doesn't give you an idea. But the King James Version tells you there was definitely nudity. These people were naked. But the NIV does not tell you that they were naked. It just tells you that they were running wild. And then, of course, I'm going to read the NLT, this New Living Translation that I occasionally read. I have a hard copy. This one as well, you'll read that it says, Moses saw that Aaron had let the people get completely out of control, much to the amusement of their enemies. So it's not saying, again, there's no nudity. They just got out of control. And it's just an amusing thing to their enemies. It's not the nudity. It doesn't make mention of nudity. And I'm even going to read the English Standard Version, the ESV. Is another very popular one. 25. Let's see. And when Moses saw that the people had broken loose, for Aaron had let them break loose to the derision of their enemies. So that one's even less. That's more complicated. But it doesn't make mention of the nudity as well. And then I think I'm gonna go ahead and just one that I know is kind of popular, which is the Message. The Message, and I know this one's a little bit different as well, but let's see, verse 25 right here. Moses saw that the people were simply running wild. Aaron had let them run wild, disgracing themselves before their enemies. So, and I make mention that this is implying nudity. This is implying these people are doing something very shameful, and they were, if there's nudity, more than likely what was going on is there was probably alcohol, and chances are there may have been even sex going on now too. So this is all and these are people that clearly were considering themselves no longer part of their they were no longer servants of these people of Israel. Even though they were children of Israel, they were considering themselves not servants to these other people. And so something was going on, and like I said, for some reason, other versions do not mention the nudity. Just as they were getting crazy, they were getting wild. But this nudity is important because if you remember going back to Genesis, way back in Genesis chapter 8 or chapter 9 of Genesis, when we saw this kind of situation with Noah after the flood, Noah and his son, I want to say it was Ham, way back in Genesis. Remember, I think it was Ham walks in on Noah, and Noah is drunk, and he's in this kind of special place, and he sees, let's see, I'm trying to find it. God's covenant, let's see. Had to be in chapter 9. No, it was chapter 9. But Shem, let's see. It was Ham. Ham was the father of Canaan. So it was Ham. Yeah, it was Ham. So Ham walked in on Noah, saw him naked. Noah was drunk, and then Noah cursed Canaan, which was Ham's son. So it was all very strange. But this is kind of shining some light on that kind of situation. Because again, like I said, people will say back in Genesis, in chapter 9 of Genesis, that Ham did something sexual to Noah. However, I made the argument that no, that's not the case. He simply saw him naked, and that seeing somebody naked is shameful. So here, these people are being they're publicly naked, and their enemies can see them. So this is something very shameful, whether or not these people are also having the sex or not, but just the nudity in itself is shameful. And even back in Genesis or in Exodus 20, when they were given the commandments, at the end it tells them that they're not supposed to make their altar with stairs leading up to it, lest their nudity be seen. And then also in Exodus, something like 20, where was it, 27 or something, when they made the when God told them how to make the priestly garments back on in Exodus 28, he also makes mention of something that they're supposed to make the pant legs go all the way up, or else they would be seen naked. Something along the, there's nudity, and they're not supposed to. This nudity is not meant to be seen publicly, and so I think a lot of these other versions kind of make a point of not talking about the nudity being shameful, because you're not supposed to be being seen naked in general, except by your significant other, your spouse is the only person that's supposed to be seeing you like that. And obviously in this world, one of the things that the Satan uses is his concept that nudism is a perfectly fine and natural way, and people go out there and they are nudists, not understanding that the Bible is saying to be seen naked is a shame. And just because you're born naked does not mean that it is, and it is a normal thing that you should be doing. Nudity is not something that God is saying you should do. It's a bad thing. Moses right here, it was so bad that these people got seen naked that Moses stands at the gate of the camp, and he calls on the people and he says, "Who's on the Lord's side? Let him come unto me." And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves. So these people, he goes to the gate of the camp. So this is the camp, obviously, wherever all this is going on. These are the people that are a little bit less skilled. They're not hanging out with the elders. They're not hanging out with Joshua's little army. So these are people that are the majority of the people, it seems like. So the majority of the people just probably weren't paying too much attention, and they were letting this kind of festivities go on, where a bunch of people got together, made a calf, and got naked for some reason, and had a feast. And so the sons of Levi all hear this, and they know that this is all very important, and Moses is there, and suddenly the mood has changed, the atmosphere has changed, everything's changed. And so these children of Levi, the sons of Levi, gather themselves because they know that this is important. God obviously stirs up these people in their heart with Moses. And he said unto them, "Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor." So these people suddenly, they have to go do some dirty work. They have to go do some military work. And it's really saying a lot about, these were not the people that, were with Joshua. These were the sons of Levi that were kind of hanging out in this camp of people that were making this golden calf. So, so it seems like they all had to get up, and they went and they had to kill these naked people. These people, no matter who it was, whether it be their brother or their friend or their neighbor. You got to go kill these people. Look at their shame that they've brought upon. So he's really saying, and so these people got up and they did that, and the children of Levi did according to the word of Moses, and there fell of the people that day about 3,000 men. So he's really saying something strange, that these people, it probably would have, it would have been hard for these children of Levi to do, because that's what it said. Their brother, their companion, and their neighbors. So these people were, they knew that they were probably just hanging out while these other people did what they were doing, and they were just kind of watching from a distance as well. And they, nobody stopped it. And we do this a lot in this day and age too. Like in this world, I mean, I'm just like so many other people. This is a sin of mine as well. I'll just be doing things, and obviously you see people doing horrible, bad things, and what can you do? You just let them do it. You could tell them, and I even tell them, and I try to preach to a lot of people, but they won't listen, and they don't care, and going throughout their day, they don't care. So you'll see them doing all kinds of weird, horrible, nonsensical stuff, laughing, watching things from the world, jokes that are not safe for work, NSFW, you could even say. But anyway, people doing whatever they want to do out in the public, and these guys were just kind of watching, and they probably knew in the back of their minds, these guys shouldn't be doing that, but they didn't understand the repercussions until now. And those repercussions were they got to get up, and Moses was saying, if you guys want to, if you're with the Lord, and you got to go kill these people. Look what they've done. And so these children of Levi went and did it. And like I said, it probably wasn't easy, because they were their brothers, their companions, and their neighbors. They still killed about 3,000 people that day. And Moses had said, consecrate yourselves today to the Lord, even every man upon his son and upon his brother, that he may bestow upon you a blessing. So he's saying consecrate yourself. So after that, consecrate yourselves to the Lord. You're not making yourselves to any of these false gods, these idols. Remember, they were calling these idols, this calf, their God. And he's saying, nobody, you get this blessing, consecrate yourselves to the Lord. And everybody, and your son and your brother, all of you guys are in agreement that we have no other gods other than the Lord. So they killed these people that had decided, hey, yeah, let's take this new God, this calf. And those people were running, they were running wild, and they were naked, and they were having a party of some sort. A party that obviously was not, God had not told them to party that day. He did not tell them to have a feast. He told them to remember those 3 feasts. Remember the 3 feasts, not this feast. This is this is all random, nonsensical. It didn't, they just made it up. It just came out of thin air. It was sinful, and they all had to pay for it with their life, and it even hurt these people, but they were all in agreement that there is only the one real God. That's what they were in agreement with, and to get the blessing of the Lord. And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses said unto the people, ye have sinned a great sin. And now I will go up unto the Lord, peradventure I shall make an atonement for your sin. So of course now we see, after Moses confronted Aaron, we saw that the idolaters were slain by the sons of Levi. And now we're going to see that Moses pleads for Israel, obviously. These last few verses, 30 through 35. Moses is going to go back up. He realized this is a bad thing. Everything that happened, this is terrible. These people all had to die. They were all, and these people had to kill their own, brothers and neighbors and companions. And so it was a big bad thing. Everybody, it was sad. And Moses said unto the people, ye have sinned a great sin, and now I will go up unto the Lord, peradventure I shall make an atonement. So he's really saying, I'll go see what I could do about this with God. And Moses returned unto the Lord and said, oh, this people have sinned a great sin and have made them gods. And so he's confessing everything, even though God already knew it. He's confessing, because clearly Moses might not have really understood. That's why when when he was up there that first time, and when God told him, and God got mad, Moses had to calm him down, but he wasn't, so then he goes down the mountain, so he must not have believed it so much, or he was having a hard time believing it. But when he got down to the bottom of the mountain, he broke those tables. So all of a sudden he believed it. And so now he's going back and he's confessing. And so obviously he's confessing because he's saying, "You're right, God. They made a great sin. And look what they did." He goes, "But yet now, if thou wilt forgive their sin, so please forgive them." And he says, "But if you won't believe them, if you won't forgive them, blot me," he says, "out of thy book which thou hast written." So Moses is really stepping up here and trying to take the blame for everything. He's saying, if you won't forgive them, don't, change your mind and just forget me, like blot me, and just send me to hell, but don't send all the rest of the people to hell, is what he's kind of saying. And the Lord said unto Moses, and so the Lord is really giving him a break though, and he's telling him, "No, Moses, whoever has sinned against me, them will I block out of my book." So he's telling them, no, 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 no. It's everybody will be responsible for their own sins. "Therefore now go, lead the people unto the place of which I have spoken unto thee. Behold, mine angel shall go before thee. Nevertheless, in the day when I visit, I will visit their sin upon them." So he's saying now, no, don't worry about it. Let's just keep moving. We're gonna send the people to where I've told you, and I'm gonna send my angel in front of you. But remember, I will visit their sin upon them. And the Lord plagued the people because they made the calf. Oh, I went back a chapter. The Lord plagued the people because they made the calf which Aaron made. So then he went ahead and plagued them some more. So this is another plague. They got plagued for idolatry. So again, like I said, these people that it would have been part of like their numberings. Not everybody was for God, so they got plagued. So not everybody was giving their making their payments of atonement. They're making their, to God as they were commanded to do in, when was it? The last chapter already, right? Yeah, the atonement offering. So these people weren't making their atonement offerings, so their numbers were off. So they got killed and they got plagued. So that's what's going on here. But that is Exodus 32. And that's Exodus 32, and like I said, it's a very bad chapter, this idolatry, and it really breaks the flow of what's been going on in Exodus, and it really does break the flow. But the flow goes right back to it for the rest of these chapters until the end of the book in chapter 40, where like I said, the flow has been going. They're up on this mountain, and they're listening to God. They should be listening to God. They're hearing the commandments and so forth. And then they're being told what kind of work they need to do. And then all of a sudden this happens. And it's a very terrible, sad thing. And it's, it's a very bad thing. It would really, like I said, it really broke the flow. And then suddenly afterwards, the rest of the chapters are back to it, or back to, reaffirming the covenant, reaffirming the work that they're going to do, and kind of just explaining the work that they do from now on. So it really breaks the flow, and it was really a terrible chapter, and these people really did something horrible. They clearly weren't paying attention. They seem to have been from the lower class, from the servants that did not honor their pledge of servitude for whatever reason, and they became impatient. They had nothing to do. They were bored. They wanted to party. Their party got out of hand, where so out of hand that these people were getting nude and naked, which obviously leads to more concerns about what they're really out there doing. And people were obviously just paying, not really caring, and they were just watching from a distance, or not really interfering, because obviously Aaron was there participating himself somehow. But after Moses comes down from this mountain and sees what's going on, obviously he makes these people kill these people. So these people had to die, and the people that just kind of watched on and didn't stop them or anything, they unfortunately, were the people that had to be the people that killed. So it was that killed these idolaters. So it's a very, like I said, it really messes with the flow of what's been going on, because it's been very miraculous, even though it's been real scary, and maybe these people were scared. They should have been scared. These people apparently had already forgotten. They had just gotten used to this storm up there for the 40 days. They didn't care that this miracle was happening in front of them. And yeah, they just stopped caring about all the miracles, and they wanted to go ahead and go on with their lives. Is what it seemed like. They were like, we don't want to wait around anymore for Moses, so we're gonna get out of here. Before we get out of here, let's have a party. And that seems to be what happened. But anyway, I will go ahead and end this video here. And as I normally say, if you like what I'm doing, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for future chapter by chapter Bible studies. And I pray that we all bless Jesus Christ, and that Jesus Christ blesses all of us. Amen.